Just so everyone knows, I'm David Miller, obviously. And today, what my webinar is going to be about is we're going to talk about really building a pipeline, um, about finding deals and kind of building it up to where you have the ability to find deals. And it kind of talks about like everything that you do when you start doing real estate. The one of the most important things is actually finding the deals. Everything else is second. So you can't really do. What's up, Brandon? Your camera's on, sir. Just so you know, you don't have to have it on, but it automatically turns it on for everybody. But yeah. So let's see, middle. Sorry. So yeah. So what I'm going to be discussing today is really the most important thing when we're doing real estate is finding the deals, knowing your exit strategy or having different exit strategies. All those things along those lines really aren't going to matter if you can't find a deal. You know what I mean? So obviously finding the deal is going to be step one. And the thing you have to do is, one thing I learned a long time ago is no matter what you're going to actually do in the business, whether you're flip houses, buy rentals, all you do is wholesale, maybe you only do multifamily properties, whatever you end up deciding to do, the most important thing is finding deals. Everything else is secondary. Being able to fund your deal, wholesale your deal, everything else, none of that matters if you can't actually find a deal. So I've told the people I've talked to, the lots of different people that I've worked with, throughout the entire country looking for deals. I always explain to them step one is going to always be finding deals. If you can't find your deals, you're not going to do nothing. And it can't be one-offs. So when I very first started doing this business, I'd find a property. Like I'll use an example. My very first was in Converse, Texas. Okay, so my very first deal was in Converse, Texas. It was a cool deal, very easy. It didn't need a lot of work. I think we did $18,000 in repairs. Um, it was a cool deal. But as soon as I found that deal, I stopped doing everything else. I wasn't worried about finding my next deal. I wasn't worried about anything. I was like, okay, I found a deal. Now I'm going to shift all my focus to getting this property done. And if you're going to do real estate as a one-off every once in a while here and there, that's fine. But if you actually want to create a business doing this, you have to create a pipeline where deals are coming to you. And that's what I'm going to really talk about today. So how it's going to go is we're going to discuss finding deal. I'm going to discuss a few different ways I find deals, the main streams of my pipeline, talk about that a little bit. Then I'll go over, I'll ask any questions on that. And then we'll do, if anyone has any questions at the end, just to answer any questions. And I can give you guys a little bit of an update of what I'm working on my website, all those different things along those lines. So with that being said, I'm going to get started. So the first few things, here, one second, my computer's being silly. There we go. So obviously, like I said when we first talked, it's kind of an ongoing, continual process. You have to figure out a way to build your business to where your main thing to do is always looking for deals, right? Continuously build yourself a pipeline where deals are constantly coming to you. Once you have the ability to do that, your business flows, and then you can start working on exit strategies. So I know, there's a bunch of people like, well, I'm going to do 5 flips at once, or I'm going to do 6 flips at once. That's very hard. It's very hard to be able to knock out even 2 flips at a time. You have to be very determined and really get things going, all at the same time still finding deals. So what I see happening, even with myself, or I see other people, things coming up to them is like, well, David, I found these 2 flips. I started these 2 flips. I'm still finding these other deals. So I'm trying to get funding, and I have 3 flips. There's a lady that, she got herself into like 5 flips at once. And she's like, well, the deals are coming. The deals are coming. And I was like, well, you need to make sure you understand. And it's kind of all what this slide I created kind of was everything I told her. I was like, do you understand where you're investing? Right? So I invest in your backyard. Focus on your local market, but understand what's going on in your local market, what's moving. If somebody comes to me right now and says, hey, I have a $700,000 house, it's really, really nice. We can get it for, $590. It needs 50,000 in repairs. You're like, okay, is that a good deal? I mean, days on market are 100 plus 150 days for something that high in San Antonio at the moment. So it's like, now I'm not trying to hold a property that long. So people don't understand that, like, well, there's a $200,000 gap. I was like, yeah, if you get a hard money lender, you're going to be holding that property for 2 years. No one's buying that, a $750,000 house in San Antonio with a 6% interest rate. They're going to wait till interest rates come down. So you want to understand that. Avoid getting distracted by, the different little properties, and people present them really well. Even I teach, hey, this is how you need to present your property. You need to make sure it looks really, really good. They get distracted by the fluff and the sparkle and not understand, is like, hey, this isn't my plan. This is what I'm, create your plan, build your pipeline, and follow through. And the biggest thing is, quality over quantity. Everyone wants to run in and rush and do as many deals as possible. But if you only look for really strong deals that you would only flip, if they're like, oh, this is a solid deal, I'm gonna make money, the numbers work, everything's perfect number wise. I mean, Murphy always happens. The house can burn down, it can get robbed, stuff can always happen to the property. Nothing's a for sure thing, but based on the paperwork and the analysis, it's a good deal. You're not going to have any trouble, wholesaling that property. You're not going to have any trouble getting rid of that deal. A lot of people are like, well, I'm going to find the really good deals and keep them for myself. And then the crap that has real small spreads, I'll just wholesale it to somebody else. That's terrible, because you're going to sell it to somebody else that ends up losing money or doesn't make money. And then they never buy from you again. And it ends up hurting your business. So that's not something you really, really want to do. You want to be able to obviously build a business that makes money for you, but also makes money for other people. It's like, if I have 2 flips going on and I'm like, man, I don't have nothing to do. And, Carrie's like, hey, I need a flip. I was like, bro, I just got this property under contract. Here are the numbers, add a $5,000 fee on there because it's a good deal and it's yours. And then Carrie's like, let me run the numbers. Everything looks good. That's fine. I mean, he'd negotiate with me and he'd go from 5 and then he'd probably pay me like 8 just because Carrie likes me. So, those are some different things that you kind of want to look at, but it really is like, every deal is like, well, I'm going to wholesale this. If you wouldn't flip it, you shouldn't wholesale it. And that's how I do my, if I find a wholesale deal, they're like, hey, help me wholesale this property. I'll run the numbers, like, it's not a good deal. He's like, yeah, but give it to one of those newbies, or give it to somebody that doesn't know what they're doing. That it's a terrible business model. If I give good deals to everybody that I wholesale, guess what happens when they finish that flip? The first person they're asking for is, hey, do you got another deal? Hey, do you got another deal? I don't want to be the wholesaler that everyone talks about. It's like, well, I don't buy from wholesalers. You'll hear that from a bunch of investors because they send them these crazy deals that don't make any sense. So, building your pipeline is a process that is never going to stop. And a good example is like word of mouth. I'm constantly talking to different people about real estate. Someone asks a question. If it's something quick I can answer, it's like, hey, yeah, you should do this. This morning I woke up and I was just kind of scrolling, and I'm in a bunch of real estate groups. So I'm like reading the different things. And this guy's like, hey, I'm interested in buying it. We have this piece of land we're interested in buying. It's off market. Nobody knows about it. Can someone run comps for me? And I just couldn't help myself. I was like, oh, what's the address? He sent me the address, and I was like, man, this guy's dumb. Like, you're going to be taken advantage of. But I got the address, and I can't help but to look it up. I was like, now I know who the owner is. I know the different things. And I explained to him, there's no other 125 acre lots that close to the city. So he's like, oh, well, my mom's going to hold back a little bit. And that's all I needed to hear, because I followed up with him a little while ago. And he's like, yeah, we're going to hold off on it. We don't know if that's something we want to work on. I'm not. I already got the owner's information. I haven't called them. I'm not going to call them today, but I'll probably give them a call tomorrow. Go through the information and see, it's like, hey, we see this property, if you're interested in selling it, or if it's available. That's a huge deal. And being so close to San Antonio, acreage in that size is, it's not unheard of, but it's rare. So I know that that's something that we can move. invest in your own backyard or elsewhere. Wherever you plan to invest, you should set your system up to work there. Okay. So one of the big things that a lot of people do is they'll join a Facebook group that says real estate investors in the United States. And they're like, oh, I will do a flip in Georgia, I'll do it remote, or I'll buy here, or I'll buy in California, and I'll live in Texas. It doesn't work that way. Figure out where you're going to invest. If you're not going to do it in your own area, which I think you should start so you can have eyes on it. But if you're not going to invest in your own area, you should really start. Anyone that asks me, it's like, hey, I live in San Antonio, but I'm going to invest in Houston. I mean, Houston's close to 5, but man, you should really, really not invest somewhere where you can't check your stuff, especially if you're starting off. If you're seasoned and you've done a ton of deals, great, do that. You can do that. But starting off, you need to be able to have boots on the ground and see what's going on. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, I'll have a realtor go check it. No one cares about your interest better than yourself. You always have to have your own. Obviously, you care about yourself, your success better than anyone else. So you should be checking what you're looking at. But what you want to do is wherever you decide to do is set up your filters of where you want to do this business. Where are you going to focus? Like for me in San Antonio, anywhere north of the airport, I'm happy. And like I'll do all the west side of San Antonio, all the way to downtown. Right during COVID, the east side was really, really good. Prices were skyrocketing there. But now I'm holding back. I'm seeing days on market crazy in these certain neighborhoods. It's like these 350 days, but people are listing houses at $400,000, for a neighborhood that when I got in this business, I wholesaled the house for like 15 grand when I first started back in the old days. But you want to kind of figure out what your criteria is, where you want to buy. And obviously you should target areas like in section number 1, it's like you should target areas with lowest DOM, and that's days on market. You need to pay attention to the days on market whenever you're looking for deals. I'm going to really cover that in depth when I go over comps. And I have a comp video on the membership site that really breaks down like what you should do. What if there's not comps, or what if it doesn't meet the comp criteria that's put in place? Should I still invest there? Is it still a good deal? And all that kind of stuff, really being able to break that down, because if it's either a deal or not, or it's either a deal or it's not. You can't make it a deal. There's some instances where maybe you can add a bedroom or a bathroom, but those are very rare. You usually can tell, hey, this is a good market. And if it seems too good to be true, it usually is. One of the things for a pipeline is qualifying your wholesalers, whether if you're going to use this to flip or you're going to use the wholesalers to do business with. So I'm going to get it out there right off the bat. A lot of wholesalers daisy chain deals. So just say I have a property I want to wholesale. Carrie offers it. Then Jeanette offers it. Brandon offers it. 10 different people offer this deal. And you have all these different guys on here trying to wholesale the same property. I don't do that. I don't do daisy chains with anybody. But I qualify my wholesalers, making sure they know what they're doing in case they do bring me a good deal. But I partner with wholesalers a lot, right? If I have a really good deal that I need to close, I'll partner with, hey, do you have a buyer for this? I'm only doing original contract. So if you can get someone to do an assignment, I have the original contract. We will split that assignment 50-50. I found the deal. You found the buyer. Let's do it. I've never put myself in a situation where 14 different people, or even 3 or 4 people, have to close on a property for me to get paid. It doesn't work, and it gets messy. Another thing is talking about your, leveraging your realtors, ensuring your realtors understand what investment strategy you're using, and they're going to send you everything. So when you first, a lot of you guys have done deals already, and you have had realtors sending you properties. They're going to send you a bunch of stuff. Break it down for them. Say, look, I shouldn't be, if you're giving a criteria to a realtor that actually works to be able to flip houses or even wholesale them, you shouldn't get a bunch. You shouldn't get any, really. You should get 1 or 2 every once in a while. And you should be excited about those lists. I had a guy who's like, man, my realtor's sending me 10 deals a day. I was like, oh, so let me see them. He's like, well, no. I was like, well, they're on market. I'm not trying to steer a deal. Let me just look at them. Not one of them was a good deal. None of them. He's like, oh, well, if a realtor's just sending you stuff, he's like, I think this is a possible deal. Let me tell you, most people are not most realtors don't know what they're doing when it comes to the investment side. They're not taught how to look at investment properties. They understand how to run a CMA, look up comps. And I'm not talking bad about any realtors because, my sister's a realtor. Some of my good friends are realtors and I love them. But not all realtors are created equal. They don't know what they're just sending you properties. If they find a property that looks terrible, like, oh, rehab this. But that terrible property is listed at ARV prices. So, you have to understand that. So really qualify your wholesalers, make sure your realtors know what you're doing, but leverage them to help you find deals. Okay. The idea is to build a pipeline where people are bringing deals to you. So I'm getting deals this way, I'm getting deals this way, and I'm nitpicking the good ones. Right. And the next one's work smart, not hard. Implement processes, to have properties come to you instead of you chasing them. And what I mean by that is, have it to where the deals are coming to you. What I've been doing lately, which has been working great, is I let everybody know what I do. What do you do for a living? Everyone I know. Why I buy real estate properties. Like, oh, I saw this house in my neighborhood. I'm like, oh, well, if it looks like distress, because I really kind of buy houses that need to be fixed up. If it looks distressed or whatnot, send it to me. If we can get it under contract and I'll close on it, I'll pay you $500. And I've told the lady, she's like, oh, this is a really good deal, and they barely want anything for it. I was like, if I make good money, I'll pay you $1,000, because I want you to start working for me for free, just finding me properties. And most of the time they send me properties that are listed with Keller Williams or, a realtor. And I just teach them. I don't get mad and say, oh, this guy's an idiot, he didn't hear anything I said. I'm like, hey, I really don't want those type of properties. I want the ones that look like the homeowner went to the dollar store and got a for sale sign and put buy my house, I'm late on my mortgage, something along those lines. And just correct them. Be nice about it. Say, hey, I really don't like to buy properties on market. There's so many realtor fees. Because as soon as you tell them, hey, I don't buy properties online, they're going to be like, well, everyone buys properties from realtor. And just say, I don't like paying real estate commissions. I like to keep that 6% as profit. I don't want to pay it to somebody else. I like to find deals off market. And usually that cuddles them down. The big thing is to make sure that you implement these different things to have people bring deals to you, to where properties are coming to you and you're not actually searching for them, because it's time consuming. My 2 favorite ways of finding deals take hours to do, and I'll teach them to you in a second. And the last thing is maintaining a continuous pipeline. You should never turn off your pipeline. If you get it working right, if you're flipping properties, or maybe you just want to wholesale and you don't want to flip, because flipping is hard. Maybe you don't want to flip properties. You're like, I'm just going to wholesale everything I get. Great. If you can build a continuous pipeline, you need to build a continuous pipeline of cash buyers. Your pipeline in this current market in most cities in the country is not going to be crazy. You're not going to be getting tons of deals that are good. You're not going to be getting tons of good deals because it's tight. Prices are really, really high. Interest rates are really, really high. People are slightly scared to buy. It's an election year. Everybody's like, what do we do? So you want to make sure that you're qualifying cash buyers, qualifying investors, and when you're qualifying really good deals, you'll never have trouble selling them. I tell people all the time, if you can find a good deal and you can't wholesale it, it's not a good deal. I've never had trouble wholesaling a good deal. Never, not once. I never have. Right? I've never, ever. And I tell people that all the time. They're like, oh, well, I'm sure you've had it. I was like, no. If I've ever gotten a property where the numbers work and there's good profit and the repairs aren't ridiculous, because I've had deals where there's profit, but the repairs are $150,000. Like, oh, you'll make $50,000 on this house if you put $150,000 into it, which I'm not saying is not doable, but that's hard. Is your ROI still worth it at that point? So if you can put good deals on there that make sense to people, you won't have trouble wholesaling them. And if you have trouble wholesaling and it's a good deal, an actual good deal, let me know. I'll wholesale it for you. You're going to have to cut me off, but I'll wholesale it for you. 100%. Right? And this is a quote I saw today, and I added this into the presentation like an hour ago. I even posted it on the page. You need to remember not to chase the shiny stuff that distracts you from your plan. Build your pipeline, get your plan, make things work so you're able to get deals. Because I'm telling you, if everyone that's on this call, whether you're doing real estate or not at the moment, if you can build yourself a pipeline just build yourself a pipeline to get things moving. I'm telling you, like, everything else falls into place, because if you start advertising really good deals, everyone's going to be like, oh, I'm interested in buying. I'm interested in buying. I have not seen any good deals sit on the market still. I had another investor text me this morning. He's like, hey, I need to buy 5 properties before the 4th of July. He's like, get with it. I need more properties. And like, that's motivating to me. But, you know, I have to make sure they're good deals, because if I sell him trash one time, guess what? Never going to get that text again. He's like, David screwed me. And guys, you don't want to, that's just not the business I want to be in. Another thing that I hear a lot, and especially in good markets, is like, are there enough deals? The properties are there, guys. 100%. The one thing I'm seeing that's changing in the current market is foreclosures are skyrocketing more than usual. I put a post the other day. I did a little bit of research of how many foreclosures we had in April of this year compared to last year, and I forget what the number was, but it was a couple thousand more than the year before, comparing April 2023 to April 2024. But there's still deals out there. Even when I've seen investors, lots of different people, there's deals out there, and there's properties that get made. The thing is, everyone wants it just handed to them. That's the whole reason why wholesalers are successful and make lots of money, because everyone wants that instant gratification. They don't want to have to look for the deal. They just want to get paid. And they want to be able to, like, oh, if I find a good deal, the wholesaler will bring me a deal. The wholesaler will bring me a deal. I don't want to make any phone calls, or I don't want to do anything along those lines. So if you ever tell me, hey, I can't ever find any deals, I'll tell you exactly what you need to do to find deals. The question is, like, will you do it? Okay, so there's enough deals. There's enough deals for everybody to get out there. Any questions so far? If you have questions, you can raise your hand, put it in the chat, or you can unmute yourself. But if it's real loud, don't unmute yourself. Put it in the chat. Does anyone have a question? How many people? Oh, there's 8 people on here. Is anyone on the webinar? There's a few people on there. All right. I ain't mad at you.
David.
What's up?
Hey, I just got a deal locked in, actually.
Let's go.
I know. I'm so excited. I feel like it's a really good deal, too. It's out in Divine. It's on 5 acres. It's a 2-2, though, with a detached garage. Electricity ran to it. So, yeah, I just got the go on everything tonight. So
that is awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Let us know if you flip it yourself, or whether you wholesale. Let us know. Maybe we can go do a live in Divine.
Oh, maybe
together. Let me know.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. That's awesome. Right. Congratulations. And then just stay doing what you're doing. It's funny. I was thinking, you told me the other day that you were running the ServPro thing, and I was like, damn, I don't know why I called you, because there's a rental I manage. And the insurance called another ServPro office, but I wanted to ask for you so bad, because I've had a terrible time with one of these ladies. It's like, are y'all gonna go, like, because they did water remediation, and they left the machines there, said they need to be here for 3 or 4 days, and then we'll come do another test. Well, like 5 days went by. I was like, hey, the tenant's complaining, like, these loud machines. Can you come check? And she goes, oh, we already did. I was like, no, the tenant just texted me right now. The machines are still on.
So, those machines are horrible. Like, it's hot. They're loud. Like, they are the worst.
For sure. So I finally got it done. I'm not letting ServPro do the rehab, though. I'm getting the rehab done myself, so I can get some insurance money.
Yeah, that's the way to do it too. Hey, because we get you, if you have the opportunity to have somebody from ServPro do the estimate for you, you should do that.
Oh, really?
I would say I would do it for you, but I'm super busy right now.
Sure.
But they can get a lot of money, a lot more money than just your average contractor.
Okay, cool.
So just for future reference.
I wrote the bid, so it's not average.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Bid's ridiculous, but awesome. So congratulations. That's good.
Cool. Well, and I'm going to be contacting you if you are open to that, just because I want to discuss a few things with you.
All right, well, send me a message.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
All right. Awesome. All right. So the next thing I'm going to discuss before we get into an open call and just answer some questions is my main sources for finding deals, right? So the main sources of my pipeline, The number one thing that has been ultra successful for me is word of mouth. I've letting everybody I know that I do real estate, letting the people that I buy their houses from or wholesale, letting them know to let anyone else know I can help them has been the best thing. When I go talk to these people, whether it's a motivated seller, whether it's a realtor that needs help, whatever the reason, or just someone asking me what I do, it's like, man, I like to actually help people in these bad situations. Right. And I come from a compassion because I'm actually a caring person. I want them to get help. Right. And I tell them I'm very straightforward because obviously there was a point in time in my life where I'm always helping people. And I was like, oh, well, I'm not helping myself. And that time has passed. So now it's like I can help people. I can help people with their properties. I can help people do things and actually make money doing it. So when I go talk to somebody, it's like an example. If I'm talking to somebody that's facing foreclosure, right? That's number 3 on here is pre-foreclosures. But if I'm talking to someone facing foreclosure and they're like, how can you help? Like, how can you help me? I was like, you just want to buy my house? I was like, buying a house is the way I'd like to do it, but that's not the only source. That's not the only way to do it. There's a couple things you can do, but you have to meet a criteria, right? There's certain steps you have to take to be able to successful in these different things. But like one, it's like, do you have a way to pay this mortgage? They're like, yeah, in 3 months, I'm getting a $50,000 check. It's great. We can file a temporary restraining order against the mortgage company and you get 3 months. And you can do that twice in most states. So you can extend the foreclosure 6 months to where you won't lose your house. But I explained to them every month that passes by, those payments add up. Nothing goes away. So you owe $12,000 now. In 6 months, you're going to owe $24,000. So you have to understand that, and it's like, is that something you're going to be able to do? And they're like, yeah. And it's like, there's one more caveat to that. You have to pay a lawyer to file the TROs, the temporary restraining orders. So, and they're like, okay, what else can I do? I was like, has your income changed from when you stopped paying your mortgage payments to now? Like, yeah, I just started a new job. I just can't get back on my feet. It's great. You might want to do a loan modification. Loan modifications only get approved when income increases. If you do a loan modification, it's like, oh, I still don't have my job. Can I get a loan modification? They're going to tell you no. Why would the bank modify your loan if you still can't afford to pay it? You know what I mean? And if your income's changed a little bit, it's like, man, I was making 150,000, but now I'm just making 100. Sometimes they can modify and lower your interest rate or forgive a part of your mortgage to lower it to where it's affordable. But in most cases, if your income hasn't increased, like you can't correct yourself now. It's like, well, I was out of a job for 2 months, but I just started a new job making more than I was making. That's going to be an approved modification. But if you're like, well, I have an interview next week, hopefully I can get it done, you're going to get denied every time. So those are a few different ways I tell people how they can save their house and stop a foreclosure without me buying it. Oh, they're like, oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. I was like, well, the next step is you can sell me the property. And these are the steps I need. I already know the value. You should know the value. You should know the ARV of the house before you step foot on drive on the street. You should know the ARV right away before you go to the property. You should know the ARV. You walk the property, see what the repairs are, and come up with their offer. And don't lie. If the repairs in the ARV call for you to offer a certain amount of money, offer that amount. Don't say, well, I think I could pay $150 when you can only pay $120. It doesn't do anything except stress people out. So you need to just be straightforward. It's like, hey, this is what I can pay for the property, and this is why. When you explain yourself to people, it usually works. Now, some people are going to tell you to F off, go to hell, you're trying to screw me over. You're going to get that a lot. You're going to get that more than you're going to, oh, okay, I'll sell you my house. But you have to be straightforward and truthful with these people. So back to word of mouth. On word of mouth, let everybody you know what you're doing. I'm looking for properties, distressed properties, vacant houses, anything along those lines. And if they send you a deal, say, don't be ugly about it. Say, hey, I really don't want properties if it's listed with the realtor. I want for sale by owner. I want different things along those lines. And show them what a for sale by owner sign looks like. And if you don't, go on Google and type FSBO sign and look at it. It's simple. Number 2, which is my absolute favorite, is driving for dollars. looking for vacant houses, for sale by owners, homes in disrepair, houses that look like they've been sitting for a long time. I love to drive around, listen to music. When the membership site's finally done, which we're looking like it's going to be on time this month, is I'm going to offer Propelio with the middle tier. So Propelio has a Driving for Dollars app, and it's awesome. I literally turn on the Driving for Dollars app, and it follows me around. When I see a house I like, I click on it, and it saves it on a spreadsheet. So it works awesome. So I'll drive around all day, and sometimes like I don't like to use my phone because people are always calling me. So like I'll take my daughter with me. I was like, hey, I'm buying you Chick-fil-A. We're going to work, and we'll go drive around for 3 hours, which is expensive. Gas is expensive, but it's fun. Like we joke around, we make fun of houses. Like, man, look at that house. That house is brand new and needs to be foreclosed on or be rebuilt. And we'll build a list. Now, one thing that I can say I've been guilty of is after you build your list, go home and work it. I've built lists before and I was like, oh, I'll call it tomorrow. And 3 days later, I call it. That's stupid. I wasted all that gas and a whole day driving for dollars and didn't do nothing about it. Drive for dollars, build your list, and then start calling those people. Start reaching out to them. Send them a postcard. And you can send postcards like easily. It's very inexpensive. So those are different things you want to do. Driving for dollars is my favorite just because you get out, look at the actual properties and stuff. And if I know it's abandoned and stuff, I'll get out and like look in the windows and stuff. Number 3, which is the most popular with anybody that's starting in investing, is pre-foreclosures. The pre-foreclosure market is booming. There's properties all over the place. And if you know some creative financing techniques like subject twos and stuff along those lines, which are all that stuff will be on the membership site, you'll see a lot of low interest rate mortgages being taken over. So it's a good example is we found a property. It's $260,000 mortgage. It's 3 years old. They owe like $250. That doesn't go down very much in the first 10 years. And they're in foreclosure. They're just ready to walk away from the house. So we're like, hey, what does it cost to reinstate your loan? And I think it was like $8,000. And it's like, well, what if we can give you, $5,000 to let us put this mortgage in our name? We'll reinstate the loan. We'll pay for that. We'll put the property will be in our name, but the mortgage will stay in your name because the interest rate's really low. And without that interest rate, it's not a good deal. And explain to them, our goal will be to refinance in 5 years, but never promise you'll refinance it in 5 years because we don't know what's going to happen in 5 years, right? Our goal is to refinance it when the market, dictates that we can refinance it. Most of these people are like, okay, well, yeah, let's do it. What do I get out of it? It's like, we'll give you $5,000. So we're going to be in this $260,000 house for $13,000. We take over the mortgage. Most of these houses aren't in terrible disrepair. Some of them are, but most of them are not. You have the ability to owner finance that house, put a renter in it, make sure it covers the bills, and build equity. That's a long-term play. You get 3 or 4 subject to properties, and you do have to have a little bit of money to put up, which most people that buy subject twos will pay up to $20,000. So there's a guy can wholesale subject to. If the reinstatement's $5,000, I can charge him $15,000. He'll pay me a $15,000 fee because he'll pay up to $20,000 per deal. But if other way around, if it's $17,000 to reinstate, I'm only going to make $3,000. Does that make sense? So that's a fair balance for them, but he's getting a $260,000 house for a $20,000 investment. And then you put a renter in there, owner finance, whatever along those lines. What a lot of subject to investors do is they buy the property subject to, they owner finance it, and they collect a $40,000 down payment so they get their money back, and then they owner finance it. So they have no money in the deal, and they make money off interest because they're charging 9 or 10% interest as an owner finance deal. But there's a real detailed video of that's going to be coming out. Well, it's already made, but it's on the site. So it's really, really good. And with the video, there's subject to contracts and all that good stuff. And the one I really, really like, but it's a lot of work, is code violations. And, code violations, whether it be health code violations or like building code violations. A lot of people don't take care of their stuff, or if someone dies in a house or something, if someone gets killed in a house or stuff like that. I don't really like to touch murder properties, but the real nasty ones, those properties sell for nothing. If someone just died and decomposed in a property for a few years, I think that's a good flip. I'm not really interested in the ones where like a family gets murdered or anything. I think those are bad luck, if you believe in luck. So I don't really mess with that kind of stuff. But the opportunity's there, So you want to look up your code violations. And guys, code violations are a wide range of things. You have a car's parked in front of your house to there's no roof. You have to do a little bit of your research, learn the code violations, and that's in a video where we kind of go over a key of the code violations and what you should be looking for, so you understand. It's like, oh, a broken mailbox, probably not ready to lose their house, but a hole in the roof, or an overgrown property, or disrepair, those you're gonna have, those are properties you want to go look at. But broken mailbox, that's not a big deal. So those are some different things to be able to look at. Again, my ultra main sources, guy, word of mouth has done the best for me. Driving for dollars, because I like to do it. And I call pre-foreclosures. I've shown people years and years how I do it. It's frustrating. I don't really like to do it, but there's deals there. Every month in my county, there's 300 plus foreclosures. I was looking, all over the country, people are getting in foreclosure. It's because, I mean, it's becoming unaffordable for some people to live, just because prices and inflation is so high. And instead of letting the banks take those properties back, I mean, it actually helps the economy of stopping foreclosures, because banks aren't getting closed down by the FDIC. And that's a whole nother webinar of how the FDIC monitors foreclosures based on banks. That's a whole nother video. But yeah, the FDIC, when a certain bank gets a ton of foreclosures, the FDIC moves in, because those banks borrowed more money from the FDIC based on the mortgages they have. So they're like, man, this bank gave a bunch of bad mortgages because they're in foreclosure. We need to go in there and take it over. So you'll see banks collapse. And that happened in a big way in 2008. So that's why you'll see the FDIC, and banks are closing all the time. They don't talk about it on the news, but you can look at the FDIC website and they show banks that are closing, and the NCUA. The NCUA is the credit union version of the FDIC. But you can look at those websites and they list banks that are getting closed, and look up auctions. You can see if they have any what they're auctioning off. Sometimes they'll have repoed cars or repoed buildings and some houses, stuff like that. So it's a whole different way to build your pipeline. I mean, I have a sheet. It's up to 194 ways to find deals. And I don't show them all, because you don't want to stretch yourself too thin. You don't want to be all over the place trying to find deals in 50 different places. You need to find 3 or 4 that work really well and build a pipeline based on that. Any questions? No? I like it. Awesome. So let me see here. The thing is, the last slide before we get to the open call section is never turn off your pipeline. Continuously expand your network. Constantly talk about what you do. If this is like the business you want to be in, and you want to really build a career doing this, you have to continually expand your network. Constantly talk about real estate. I don't think there's a day that goes by. I have a bunch of people that I know. I have a few friends that, and all those friends, we talk about real estate. We're talking about credit, real estate, Airbnbs, doing different deals, how to do this, how do we do that, or we need to figure out how to do this, or we need to do deals in this city, in this state, and all over the place. It's always talking about doing deals, or going to look at the properties, or what do you think about this, or did I do this wrong? How do I talk to this person? You want to put yourself around people like that. Make sure you're qualifying your deals, make sure they're good, get down your comp criteria, making sure they're good deals so you can do it quickly. whether you're going to flip or just wholesale, if you get a bunch of deals, guys, you should only flip one or two at a time unless you have a massive team. But wholesale the access. The other deals, wholesale them. If they're good deals, they're good enough deals for you to flip. They're good enough deals for you to wholesale. And then, maintain a good pipeline. Keep it diversified. Keep making sure that you're building it out. And if you just say, you start off driving for dollars, you start off with pre-foreclosures and word of mouth. The word of mouth one's the best one. It can be for anybody. You just need to talk to people and be nice. Build that one, but just say pre-foreclosures, you can't do it. Do something else. Go talk to the mailman and the fireman and the trash man. Say, hey, you drive up and down every street in this neighborhood. If you see any busted houses, here's my card. Text me the address. If I buy that house, I'll give you $500. Anyone in their right mind is going to do it. There's a girl that's a cop now. She used to work with me back in my call center days. She sends me properties all the time. She's like, I saw this property. I think the address is this. I took a picture real quick. Terrible picture. But it's like, cool. All I need is an address. I don't need nothing else. I don't need a backstory. I don't want nothing else. You say, hey, David, I think this is a deal, 123 Apple Street. Well, all right, thanks. I'm going to look it up. And take care of the people that actually do stuff for you. So if you have people bringing you deals, if you close on the deal, pay them. It's stupid not to. They're like, well, I only made $4,000 on this deal. I don't want to pay them. I don't want to pay them $500. You would have made $0 if they didn't send you the deal. Take care of your people. That's super important. And, like I said, the whole business, everything that I'm building, the whole, the Omega Collective, everything's going to be built on finding properties. Like empowering people is like, this is what you need to look for. And how do you get rid of it? Like I have 4 or 5 different exit strategy videos that just talks about this is how you're going to get rid of your deal and how you make money. So that's the important part. And I only wanted to do 30 minutes of the webinar. We did 42. So does anyone have any questions on this stuff? Anything at all? It's open. Oh yeah, my last slide says finding deals is number 1. Seize the moment and never stop. I like my background. I made that. Any questions? No one's talking. All right. So if there's no questions on the pipeline information, I'll open it up. Does anyone have questions about anything about real estate related? Anything about the Omega Collective itself? I've invited a ton of every friend I have on Facebook, I invited. So I guess I found out who my friends are because not everyone joined. No, the way my wife showed me, she's like, the way Facebook, when you invite someone to a group or to a page, Facebook doesn't show it very well. You have to search for it. Because I gave her a hard time. I was like, hey, I invited you. You're my wife. You should join. Why didn't you like my page? But she, yeah, so she's like, look, it's kind of frustrating. So I'm going to do a couple email blasts on some different people. I'm just not really pushing too hard to grow things just because the website. And let me give you an update on the website. So I met with my developer yesterday in the morning, and he finally fixed the problem I was having. So my video section, when you would click on one video, every single video would play. So you'd hear me talk 22 times, and it's ridiculous, and you couldn't turn it off. So he says he thinks he fixed it. I'm supposed to do a development meeting with him tomorrow, really late, 1 o'clock in the morning, because he is not in the United States. And we're going to kind of go over everything. And then my goal was to launch on Saturday. I'm not sure if I'll be able to do that just because I want to make sure everything works. And people are like, oh, I'm ready to sign up, and it doesn't work. That would be terrible. But I'm going to, what I'd like to do is get everything set up. And then next Thursday, I'm going to do a walkthrough of the site, kind of show the different things, all the forms. I've created so many different forms that I actually use. And they'll be there. There's some different lists, what you should do to build your business. Lots of really, really good information. And what I think I'll do as well next Thursday is kind of go over the different tiers of what there is. There will be 3 different tiers. The first tier is $24.95, and it's a monthly subscription, but it's going to be worth it. And the second tier is double that, I believe. And that one will have the Propelio access to where I can give you a Propelio login. And I mean, I showed y'all last webinar, it doesn't have comps in every city, but you have access to Drive for Dollars or pull data to every city not comps, but pull property data to every city in the country, and comps to a little under half, like 20, I think it's like 18 states that we have comp access to. So that's going to be really, really cool. But yeah, that's it. I think that it everything's going along, moving really, really well. And the cool thing is being able to like teach and show people different things of what I've been doing. I actually missed it, so I was actually excited. It's like, man, my webinar's on Thursday. What I do is on Tuesdays and Thursdays I do recordings. My Tuesday recordings just to add more education to the site, and Thursday is going to be webinar based. And on a different tier, I'll be doing a Saturday morning webinar, but that'll only be, I believe, for the middle tier people. So it's going to be really, really cool. It's I'm really excited for what we built, and that's it. I'm done for the day. That's where I'm going to leave it up. Does anyone have any questions? Y'all can unmute yourselves. Everyone's muted, so if you can't, let me make this big so I can see y'all. Some of y'all have your cameras on. Let's see. Oh, someone unmuted themselves. Who has a question?
Oh, it's just me that unmuted myself, but
What's up?
Can I clarify something on your subject to comment?
Yes, sure.
And as new investors, and it's one of those things that Jeanette keeps learning too, with my husband, who's a CPA and accountant, and he really sets me straight.
Yeah.
When you talk about a subject to, people need to understand that if you have to get a hard money loan in order to rehab that property, that lender is going to want first position. So then at that point that you close, it's no longer considered a subject to. You have to have, if you want to keep it a subject to, you have to have your own money and do private money lending in order to be able to continue to hold it as a
for sure. For 100%, you're absolutely right, and I explained that in pretty good detail of like what you exactly have to do, because there's things you have to do with insurance for a subject to be done properly. The insurance has to stay in the mortgage holder's name and in your name. You have to be added on. You don't remove the other people. So there's a whole checklist and video I go over. It's like, this is exactly what, and it's really detailed. I just like to talk about it because everyone's like, oh, I'm just going to do a subject to, and they're like, okay, well, it's not hard, but it's not as easy as you think. There's steps you have to follow.
Yeah, and David, if you don't mind, this subject to that I've got that we're going to be closing on in July the 2nd, that it's actually in well, the probate hasn't been actually settled, which I think I'll be able to do at the end of this week, but it's in the deceased person's name. The widow, the husband, is the administrator, and his name was never put on that deed. So I'm still waiting on word from my attorney even to like it, and you can just tell me and maybe enlighten everybody else too, is at what point do I need to tell the mortgage company anything right now that I'm going to continue making the payments on this home?
Does the mortgage company know she's dead?
No.
I would never tell them.
Okay, that's what I want to know, because that's what I thought too, that you don't tell them anything.
Yeah. You're not keeping it, but they're not asking. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't realize that there's a difference. Like, oh, you're not being truthful. It's like, I'm not lying. No one asked. You shouldn't. I wouldn't divulge that information, because the biggest, giantest, scariest risk with the subject to is every mortgage in this country has a due on sale clause.
Correct. That's
and what that means is that once Jeanette puts that property in her company's name, the mortgage company has the right to foreclose on it and demand their money in 30 days.
Right.
The full amount, not a mortgage payment, the full amount. Every investor I've ever talked to that's been doing this business for countless years says that never happens as long as payments are done.
Right. That's what I've been told too. So I, we're planning on closing, and I've made a deal for, we call it Charlie House because my seller is Charlie Williams, and so we'll be paying him $100,000 for the house, but what's left on the mortgage is like $48,000, and I will pay Charlie cash for the difference.
Okay, well, that's good.
sense? Like what we're kind
That
of
does make sense. No, yeah, I think that's a good deal. But yeah, I wouldn't. I learned a long time ago. For most things, less is more. So if they don't ask, don't tell them.
okay. Well, that's what I understood too. And I just, since I hadn't heard from Andrew Gerby, he's our attorney here in Atlanta, and
Yeah.
just making sure, because sometimes things don't get flowing as fast as you would like for them to.
Yeah, and like I tell a lot of people, like if they do a subject to deal, like you have to have the ability. It's like, okay, what if I have to refinance it? Which if you pay that payment on time, you do the insurance correct, you make sure all that stuff's taken care of, you're not gonna have any. You won't have any issues because the mortgage company will never know. The only time they'll ever find out anything is if you stop paying the payment. The first thing they do is in most states is when you're 60 days late, they send someone to look at the house, right? So people don't even know this. They will send a guy, and all he's going to do is look at the front yard. And if he can get away with it, he'll go look on the side of the house in the backyard. He wants to see if the house is being taken care of. That's all his job is. He literally will drive by. He's like, oh, that yard is perfect. If your yard's not perfect, he might look a little more. But they're going to check the property, see if it's being taken care of. The next thing is, the mortgage companies, they allow you to pay online, right? Now, the way to get out of this issue I'm about to tell you is to mail your payment. But if you call in, you're going to ask yourself a bunch of problems. So if you ever get behind on the subject to, you need to mail a payment, expedite it, have them sign it, a certified, letter or whatever it's called. But do not call in and pay a payment over the phone, because what they do is they've set it up to protect themselves. They're going to be like, oh, well, yeah, we have the ability to speak on the mortgage's behalf, blah, blah, blah. One of the questions they ask is, does the lien holder live in the house? And if you tell them no, now you're lying. You know what I mean? I mean, if you tell them yes, you're lying. But if you tell them no, they're going to ask why. And then you're going to open up a can of worms for yourself. So like I told a guy, he was behind 2 months on the subject too. He goes, oh, I got the money. I closed the deal. I'm good. I was like, send them certified mail. Do not call in a payment, because everybody will ask, well, why are you late? Is the homeowner living in the house? Can you verify your phone number? They're going to ask all those questions. If they ask that question, he's like, no, she doesn't live here. They're like, well, who lives there? Oh, it's not a homestead no more. So if the homeowner doesn't live there, it's not a homestead no more. Now we can foreclose on it, and there's no buybacks. You know what I mean? It gives them more power. So don't call them.
Okay.
And if they call you, they're like, "Oh, we're calling about the house on 123 Apple Street." Say, "I'm at work right now. Letters in the mail." Click. Don't give them any opportunities to talk.
All right. Good point. I actually will go see Charlie tomorrow to see if he's got a current statement, because the lady that has been a friend of his that's been living in the house. I know that for the May month, she shorted the house payment by $800. So that means, did she make the June payment?
What state is it? Georgia?
Yeah, we're here. It's 2.5 miles from my house. It's Norcross.
Yeah, I think you're 90 days. I think Georgia's a 90-day state too.
Yeah, so I should be okay, but I've just got to make the payment so that I can keep it current.
For sure. Yeah, because if it's current, it's always paid. They'll never ask, and you'll be good.
Okay.
That's a good question. Anybody else have any questions? No, y'all are a quiet bunch. I like to converse. But yeah, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some polls in the on the private page. So go ahead, you can check that stuff out. If you're on there's two pages. So there's a Facebook page that's the Omega Collective, and there's a group. If you're not in the group, let me know, or add yourself to, like, you can request to be added to the group. That's where I post most of the information. The Facebook page in full transparency is how I'm going to advertise the site. You can't advertise groups. So I'm going to put ads through there so people can check it out and kind of look and, bring people in to, join the Omega Collective. So there's two things, but the group is where I'll post information for people. And once the site is up and running, I will still post there, but I won't post very much useful information. There'll be more information like, hey, don't forget the webinar. This is what we're discussing. Everything will be on the membership site. So It's going to be awesome. I'm very excited for it. I've been working on this since February, and I've been thinking about this since one of my buddies told me like 2 years ago. He's like, you should just do it. You were doing it already. Do it for yourself. Stop doing it for everybody else. So, so other than that, I think we're done. I'm going to stop streaming online. Our next webinar will be next Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Time. I need to remember to say that because I told someone 7 p.m. and he's in Georgia too. He's like, bro, I'm here. I was like, no, I know I said Central. You know I'm in Texas. That's too late for me. So I'll post some more information. If you guys have any questions, for now, send me a message or write it in the group. And thank you guys for attending. Y'all have a wonderful night.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Thank you. We'll see you later.
All right, bye guys.